Welcome to Executive Exchange Radio with moderator Joe Cristiano, America's corporate exorcist. Hosted by Dr. Jennifer Beeman and George Gutierrez, trusted advisors to chief executives and business leaders across the nation. If you would like to add to the conversation, call 646-652-4620.
But what I would like for him to do briefly, from the leadership perspective, is to explain to everybody listening what the heck is a command sergeant major? And what is that? What tell us what that is.
All right, now before I get started, you all have to understand that George was my command sergeant major. I worked for George, but I will have the honor to explain what a command sergeant major is. First and foremost, he's a senior enlisted advisor to the commander. He has the pulse of the unit. He understands the morale. He understands the training. He understands what the commander's mission is, and he executes it. That is his job. His job is to go talk to the soldiers, go talk to the first sergeants, go talk to the platoon sergeants. He's going to coach, teach, mentor, because those first sergeants, those platoon sergeants are going to have his job someday. His entire purpose in life is to ensure that his commander gets promoted. That's the down and dirty of it. I can talk about this for hours if you'd like. But the bottom line, I call it the bluff. The bottom line up front is he is the confidant of the commander. He has the pulse of the unit. He understands their morale, their needs. He understands the training. What training needs to happen in order for them to deploy to Iraq, Afghanistan, or wherever in the world. He supervises the training.
Yeah, so let me jump in, because what I want to do is I want to map that into the corporate environment.
Okay.
So in the military, depending on which branch of service, it takes about anywhere between 15 to 20 years to grow a sergeant major. Okay, so by the time you reach that level of command, you have certain expertise, skills, and knowledge within the sphere of both leadership and technical areas that make you very valuable to the organization. So a command sergeant major then becomes an advisor, and he works for the pleasure of the commander. Something similar to a vice president or a chief operating officer. Okay. So if you think about a chief operating officer is a generalist that understands day-to-day operations and has got his fingers in everywhere within the organization. Well, a command sergeant major works for no one other than that one person. He reports to that commander. So that CEO or that commander gives that particular senior leader some guidance and directions and says, this is the way that I want you to be my eyes and my ears in these areas, and I want you to go around and teach, coach, and mentor, train, and disciple as you see fit. And then sometimes throughout the day, throughout the week, or whenever the commander decides, they come back and they compare notes about the health of the organization. So a command sergeant major is a seasoned leader, is a crusty old guy or gal that doesn't necessarily have to be old, but as a person that has spent over 80% of their time out in the field, out with the workforce. Very little office time. They know everything about the organization. They know how the machines work. They know how the computers work. They know how the weaponry works. They know everything about, what the training environment looks like. They know everything about human resources. They are a generalist in every area, and they become master trainers. So when they're properly utilized, they are a value add and an organizational multiplier, because it helps the commander to grow the organization both through strategy and through tactics. So any organization today here in our business environment that is lucky enough to hire someone with that kind of background, Joe can find a person that can work through all these human relations and all these employee managerial relationships that we're talking about, and very well, because the skills that they bring are very adaptable. So, for example, in Steve's world, when he was in active duty, he had programs that were called NCO development program. Well, here in the corporate world, we call them leadership development programs. And so he also had non-commissioned officer of the quarters. So here we call them, supervisors of the quarters. They have very detailed programs that they actually used, to help organizations grow. And that experience and that knowledge that people like Steve have are easily adaptable to the organizational environment that allows the organization to behave in the strategic direction, that the chief executives want those organizations to go into. So I really wanted to spend a few minutes with that, Joe, because when you say the word command, and then you say the word sergeant, and then you say major, you're like, what the heck are you talking about?
All right, if I may, George, to say one other thing.
Yeah.
Our society today, some way, somehow, we've all become where everyone has to get a trophy. Everybody's equal. And I don't mean that in a racist way by any means. Not everyone's equal. Healthy competition is good. And if I may say one thing about healthy competition, Michael Jordan got cut by his high school basketball coach. It's okay to fail. There's nothing wrong with failing. If you fall down, you stand up, you dust off the dirt, and you keep on going. I failed jump match school twice, Ranger school, I got recycled twice. It's okay. Healthy competition is a good thing. So, whether it's NCO of the quarter, employee of the quarter, healthy competition is good. If you build an environment where people want to compete, not in a mean way, but compete, it'll make your organization better.
Right. Good point. Good point. I guess we've taken a lot of time with scarcity, but it was worth it because it clarified a lot of things for me, and I'm sure it would also for our listeners. Now, the next one you wanted to talk about was in one of the 6 principles of persuasion is liking. Now, how do you define liking in a corporate environment? Okay,
so you'll see a lot of leaders that will say, I had a job, I'm not here to be liked. So, this is what you got to do, like it or leave it, I don't care if you like me or not, this is the way it is, okay? Now, how many of us have either said that ourselves, lived it, and or heard other people say it? Well, obviously it's rhetorical. I think we've all been there and done that. So the example that the doctor uses on the science of persuasion is that being liked is very important. So he gives some percentages and some statistics to say people in the field of sales, when they go straight to the closing, and they engage potential buyers, and they went straight into their value proposition and went straight into business. Yeah, they had some successes, and they closed, some deals, but the majority of their success was not very good. But the other people, so they used 2 groups. One that went straight to business, and then they used another group that went into, let's create a relationship first. So they engaged in conversation, and they said, well, this is who I am, and there's a little bit of things about sort of like networking when you first meet each other, and they try to find something in common. And when they find something in common that they can both relate to within that conversation, it goes into, wow, I kind of like this person. I can talk to you a little bit more about, your product or your service, but now we have something in common. So I like that person because we have something that is similar. So I think Zig Ziglar said it best. In business, first you have to be liked. People that like you will talk to you. And then people that trust you will give you money. So the people that, and I'm paraphrasing, that's not exactly what he said, but I'm paraphrasing. So this concept of persuading people by being liked first, what it really means is that I am more apt to do business with someone that I like than with someone that I do not like. So in this experiment of liking, the people that actually found something in common with the other person found greater successes in the sales arena to closing a deal as opposed to going straight for the jugular. So we all have an internal desire that we don't admit to. We all want to be liked, and we also want to like other people. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to be liked in order to get things done, but it sure makes your day-to-day job a lot easier, when people look at you and like what it is that you're saying and like what it is that you're doing.
I think sometimes there's a misunderstanding when people say, well, this person is liked. It's like, well, he's liked because he lets you get away with everything, and if we make mistakes, he doesn't care. He doesn't holler at you, and he lets everything slide. We don't really mean that, and neither do people like that. I mean, people like to work with others that they can grow in their job but not feel subjugated. And as a result, now the person may have very, very strict rules and rules to work by, but they're respected for that if they know how to execute that in a humane way, in a way that benefits the employee as well as the company, rather than the person who says, don't worry about it, or conversely, the person that as soon as you make a mistake, pounces all over you. Now, in one case, the person is sort of liked, but they don't make you like yourself because you're not accomplishing anything. The person's giving you a free pass, and no one really likes that long term.
No. So you got to keep it within the context of what we're talking about. So we're talking about really the science of persuasion.
Right.
So if you're going to apply that principle, that shortcut, being liked to a sales environment, then the likelihood of closing more deals because people like you, is higher than if you just go straight for just selling what you got. When it comes to leadership and how you behave as a leader, liking is something that is not required. However, you'll hear people say, well, I don't like, Mr. So-and-so. They're kind of a hard nose, but I do respect that person because even though I may not like some of his or her ways of doing business, I respect that person because they have expert knowledge of what it is that they're talking about. So I'll follow that person anywhere because I trust them, to do what is right for the organization. It works better if you're liked, but I don't think being permissive and not enforcing policies is something that's going to get you very far. But you're right, Joe. When you confront an employee and saying, hey, you should not do this because this violates, our policy. Well, that's confrontational. Nobody likes to be confronted, so you walk away like, okay, wow, And I think you and I have had this conversation before, and we talked about it, And if you go for those of you that are listening, go back and read the 1 Minute Manager. And the 1 Minute Manager is a book you can read in 30 minutes, and it's very simple to read, but it's got great principles such as you reward in public and you admonish in private.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, you said 1 minute. How'd it turn in 30 minutes?
1 Minute Manager.
I was joking, George. if I can interject real quick.
Yeah.
Surely.
Both of you are absolutely correct. No one likes a tyrant, okay? Now, I'm going to use George's approach to sales, the likability. I put that alongside with leadership. If I get a new soldier that comes in, because I've been in sales for the past 2 years, by the way, but a new soldier comes in, I sit down and we talk. We find a common ground, something that we like together, and we talk about that. Then, after we get past that, I explain what my expectations are, or the unit's expectations, so on and so forth. Sales is no different. You sit down with the person you're trying to sell to, and you talk. and you find a common ground. Once you have the common ground, now you talk about, okay, what is the goal? How can I help you? How can you help me? That type of thing. Both you two are spot on. But there's one other thing that you have to add into this equation. And that is, you guys still have me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. The one other thing to add to the equation, every single person is different, okay? Some people need to be told what to do. Some people need to be told how to do it. Some people just need to be told, hey, this is what's expected at the end. Every single person's different. And as a leader or as a director or as a manager, you have to understand that. Because my way might not be the right way, okay? I'm going to follow the regulation. It has to be done, within the rules, but you might have a better way to do it. If you can explain to me how to make it better, and it makes sense, go out and do it. You don't have to yell and scream. Well, to most people, there are a few you have to.
So
No,
that
there
is
truly are.
a
Some
way
people
of
you have to
persuasion
yell
as
and
well,
stop.
but
That's the way they are.
that's not the way to do it.
But yeah, but the bluff here, the bottom up front is, and George hit it dead on the head there. Find a common ground, find something in common, talk, speak, make them comfortable, and then you explain to them, all right, these are the tasks, conditions, and standards of our workplace. This is what we expect of you. Can you do that? And that person will answer yes or no. If they say no, well, thank you. You had a great day. Goodbye. If they say
All right,
yes,
well,
then you go into the coach, teach, and mentor part.
All right. Well, great insight from a guy that knows what he's talking about, from a sergeant major. And I think that's a good segue to maybe plan the next conversation. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about task, condition, standards, and how we sort of migrate that level of discourse into the corporate environment.
Yeah, I guess our next broadcast will be about a week or two from now. Will it not be?
Yeah, I mean 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. Okay. Well, then we'll continue on. I guess the ones that we have authority and consensus, and maybe we can pick up those two at that time. But before we drop off altogether, George, would you tell our listeners who you guys are, something about your company, and how they may reach you?
So the BMOC Group is a consulting firm that focuses on two areas. We focus on consulting at every level of business management. And then also we have an executive coaching side that looks more to provide both group coaching and executive coaching on a one-to-one basis. Steve's role is he's been, as of recent, brought onto the company, and he is investigating the market in the upstate New York, to open a branch office in upstate New York. The way to find out a little bit more about us is if you go to www.bmocgroup.com, www.bmocgroup.com. And we are frugal in terms of who we hire, but the people that we bring on board have two qualifications. They either own their own businesses or have owned their own businesses for a very long time, or are very senior leaders in the military and have retired, or are folks that hold a terminal degree, such as a PhD or a graduate level degree as a master's degree. If you want to call us, there is a number that folks can call, and I own the company, but I don't know the number. But the number is 888-720-6996. 888-720-6996.
Very good. Okay. George Gutierrez, Command Sergeant Major Stephen Smith, thank you very much, and we look forward to having another group session such as this within 2 weeks. And this is Joe Cristiano, the moderator for the Executive Exchange Radio. You stay well and stay tuned.